I went into Longlegs almost blind, which isn't to say I had a vision impairment. It was I saw part of the first trailer, and the way I operate is because I'm in the theater a lot, and most theaters play the same like 4 or 5 trailers for months until one of those movies comes out and they put a new one in. So I knew I was going to be sitting in front of the trailer a lot in certain theaters. So I watched a tiny amount of Longlegs. It looked intriguing, and I just looked down and I tune out and I let my mind wander and I try not to pick up the plot of the film. So when I went in to see Longlegs opening night or the night before opening night, I did not know at all what I was getting, except that Maika Monroe was in it and it was some kind of a serial killer horror thing, maybe. So I experienced it as it was presented to me. Directed by Perkins, who is the son, sorry. I'm thinking Maika Monroe in my head, and I thought daughter. And she plays a daughter in the movie. Perkins is the son of iconic Hollywood actor Anthony Perkins, who also, I believe, directed a film or two, and wrote or co-wrote The Last of Sheila, fun film, which was kind of the basis for Glass Onion. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about Longlegs, and I'm talking about everything. So Maika Monroe stars as a very young, very quirky FBI agent. Her boss is Blair Underwood, who I had not seen in anything in to me, 30 years. And my God, has Blair Underwood aged a day in 30 years? It was really cool seeing him again. Always a great presence, and I hadn't seen him in anything in a long time. And Nicolas Cage is in this movie, and we'll get back to that. And Alicia Witt, or Witt, depending on where you come from. So Maika Monroe is an FBI agent, and she's investigating this very strange series of murders where somebody seems to go crazy, a parent seems to go crazy and murder their entire family and then themselves. And who is behind this and why? Very cool, creepy, effective, slow burn horror film. Builds an amazing sense of dread. Occasionally very graphic as it goes on, but mostly not. Mostly just really creepy. And it uses T.Rex music, and I'm a gigantic T.Rex fan. So anytime a movie uses T.Rex music, I get excited because I'm hearing T.Rex music in public, which is rare unless I'm playing it, and to hear T.Rex music through a better sound system than I usually own. So it was very interesting to have to hear T.Rex music in the movie. And as the movie goes along, we start seeing this creepy person. Maika Monroe is investigating these murders, and weird things are happening. It's deeply unsettling, not a lot in the way of lame jump scares or anything. It's the best kind of horror movie to me, which is it's creepy and it gets under your skin and it stays there. And the best kind stay there after you've left the theater when you think about it more. It starts cutting to this person, this weird person. Is it a man? Is it a woman? You can't really tell. They look like they're wearing some kind of makeup application, but they keep cutting away before you see the face, and that's really effective and creepy. And then eventually we see who it is, and I eventually realized, because I guess I must have looked away at some point during the opening credits and I wasn't following this movie in advance. I didn't know Nicolas Cage was in the film. So I hope it's not a spoiler for anybody who goes into this, but I think you're probably going to know by now, or you'll know while you're watching it. I think he's up front in the credits. Nicolas Cage portrays this very strange person who is the orchestrator of the chaos, let's say, in this film. And you only see bits and pieces. Like in the opening, it cuts away before you see his face, and it's deeply disturbing. And when you do see his face, it's like, well, that's somebody who's wearing makeup appliances. Like they're wearing a mask. It's somebody who's trying to disguise themselves or something. And at first, he's very subtle, and it took me a while to realize who it was. And then he starts doing Nicolas Cage. Now, I guess I'm weird. I guess I'm the outlier. I feel like I feel like John Goodman in Big Lebowski sometimes, where he gets mad that doesn't anybody follow the rules anymore. I feel like that sometimes with a lot of things, and one of them is I don't get the Nicolas Cage thing. He's a movie star. He has been for most of my life. He has been in some great movies. He has done some great work, but he always does that thing, or he usually does the Nicolas Cage going crazy thing, which I think is just bad acting. I think it's just terrible acting, and it yanked me out of this movie. I was really liking this movie. And when Nicolas Cage started doing the Nicolas Cage thing, it kind of killed it for me, because he's just going way over the top and crazy, which people love. And they're like, oh, there's Nicolas. And I'm like, this sucks. This is terrible. Why are you doing this? You're ruining a movie that was really subtle with your wild, ridiculous stuff. So it really hit the brakes hard for me. The story kept going after he did that, and they revealed what the deal was. And you meet the Alicia Witt character who plays Maika Monroe's mother, and she's very good. She's always been great. It's weird to see Alicia Witt as the older mom in a movie now, because I remember her as the young woman, and people have pointed out that she was the little girl in Dune, which was, 40 years ago. And she was really great. But when they reveal what the deal of the movie is, it was much like I felt about Maxine recently. It was really good up to a point, and then when the deal gets revealed, it's like a whole lot of stuff real fast for you to process, and then the movie's kind of over. And it's the kind of thing where somehow if the movie had been a lot longer, if it had none of the Cage foolishness, if it had been a lot longer and they took more time to reveal that, because when they reveal it and the way they, pardon the phrase, execute how that all works, it's really interesting and it's creepy, but it's so like out of left field and so weird compared to what you'd seen before, which seemed like a pretty standard procedural thing with a crazy person. Suddenly it becomes something very different, and I had a hard time getting my head around that. So it's weird. I think Longlegs was good. Most people I know loved it. Some people are saying it's, best horror of the decade and all that kind of stuff. I wouldn't say that, but when evil lurks, where evil lurks, that might be my contender for that. But for me, Nicolas Cage just kind of ruins it. So your mileage may vary. Most people somehow just love Cage when he goes crazy and takes you out of the movie and is just grotesquely goofy. I really can't stand it in any movie that he does, and maybe unless it's a comedy. And even then, Vampire's Kiss, I remember being a really rough road to go down. So maybe it's just me, but in theaters, see it in a theater, see it with an audience. The audience I saw it with was a little chatty at first, and I was nervous during the trailers. And then when the movie started and it got creepy, it was dead silent, except moments where people like yelped out loud because of some shocking moments. See it with an audience if you can. See it in a theater where it's out of your control and you just have to sit there and watch it, and you don't have your phone, and you don't have the world around you. Support a theater if you can. Longlegs.